Hello everyone and welcome back to the Dreamweaver's workshop. I am so excited for this week's video. In the last week's video, I showed you that I was going to be working on this lantern. Now, okay, here's the thing, right? The video from last week or the past couple weeks that I've been working on, I had the idea for that hourglass before I had the idea for this lantern. And I have a really bad habit of foregoing ideas for other ideas that I think are more exciting, even though they're all good. So I told myself, I really want to do this lantern, but I'm going to do this hourglass design first, and then I'll do the lantern. I'm going to do them in the order in which the ideas came to me, right? But just how luck would have it, I had to postpone a little bit working on the other hourglass because I was waiting for the clay, which I have, by the way, now. And so I got to work on this, and you guys have a video this week. So, yeah. In the end, I got what I wanted, and now I get to talk about how happy and excited I was to make this and tell you all the things that I did. So, first things first, as you can see, this is a four-sided, like, kind of closed piece. I tried my best to put things in positions where you guys would see everything. Sometimes you might not. I'm sorry. Anyway, the idea for this lantern is Mossveil. We haven't talked about Mossveil. Mossveil is my fairy garden realm for my fantasy world of Otherworld. So the theme of Mossveil is kind of like fairy garden inspired. Think moss, think mushrooms, think glowy thingies. Fairy garden, you know? Mossveil's theme, though, is illusion, right? So all of my realms have some type of like secrecy or like scary kind of fear thing to them. And illusion is the one for Mossveil. You might be thinking like, how can illusion be scary? I mean, because a lot of the times, maybe not a lot of the times, but the idea is that what you think is happening is the scariest part of something. Because what you think is happening may or may not be happening, but you think it's happening, so it feels it's real, right? I'm probably not explaining this properly. As we talk more about Mossveil and I give some lore, it will make a lot more sense. But basically, not everything that you see is exactly what it seems. I should probably tell you what's happening. So what you see me doing right now is something that was not at all the plan for this lantern. When I first envisioned this lantern, it really is just like greenery and like flowers and florals and a bunch of like mushrooms and things like that, right? However, as you saw, I had those like tan things. Those are meant to look like mushrooms that grow out of trees. You saw me trying to glue it to one of the, like, it's not really a wall, but like one of the posts of the lantern, but it wasn't sticking, right? So I was like, I have to put something in the middle here so I can hold up these mushroom pieces I've made. And I thought, okay, tree. I showed you guys some brown polymer clay, some air dry clay, and then the foam clay because I was trying to decide what I was going to use to fill in this area in the middle, these posts, so I can stick things to them. Because for some reason, I really thought that things would be able to be glued onto those little thin pieces on the side and it would hold. I don't know. Either way, it worked out for the best. I was trying to figure out what clay to use. I decided to go with foam clay because air dry clay was taking too long. The polymer clay has to be baked in the oven. And when you take things out and try to put it back, at least in my experience, they don't necessarily fit or look right. This I could put in there. It would dry fairly quickly. It also wouldn't add too much weight to it. And I figured it would do what I needed to do. And it, in fact, did. So I filled in one of these posts with the air dry clay. I'm cleaning off some on the sides. And then I'm going to start carving in the tree bark texture, which was more difficult than I thought it was going to be, simply because trying to get a tool into this area and like maneuver around and detail the way that I want to, you know, it wasn't hard. By no means am I acting like it was hard. It was impossible. I just noticed myself being like, damn, how do I draw this line over here without accidentally messing up another line because I have to put my hand in an odd position or whatever. I put trees in the corners of the lantern, okay? which, as I said, ended up being, wait till y'all see how it looks wait till you see the end. It ended up being such a good idea. Like, now I'm thinking back about how it would look if I had never done this, and it would looked not crazy. Like, it would have been fine. You know, it would have been fine. This took it to the next level. I want to tell you guys some more about Mossveil. So I am still in the process of really fleshing Mossveil out, setting up, you know, what are going to be the rules for this realm? What is the guidelines and all that type of stuff? I have some things. I have a good amount of things. I have enough to obviously make things inspired by it. But I can definitely go deeper and make more, which I'm in the process of. It does take time, but it's very fun to do. However, I can tell you the stuff that I've already fleshed out. So think of, I said fairy realm, and I feel like when I say fairy, it gives a little too, like, happy. Not that it's not supposed to be happy, but it's not like, we're not thinking Tinkerbell, right? We're thinking like fae, okay? We're thinking like mischievous fae who are not just here to make you happy, right? We're thinking like eerie, creepy magic. We're thinking the forest is alive. It's guiding you without you knowing it's guiding you, but you don't know where it's guiding you to, but because you don't know that it's guiding you. And then what it could want, I don't know. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's dependent on what you perceive. If you perceive it as bad, maybe it is bad. Maybe if you perceive it as good, actually it is good, or maybe something else. I haven't figured that part out yet. There is Mossveil, and then there's a separate area called the Menagerie of Mer. I have another project coming up. I showed you guys in the last video, I made a little bunny. The little bunny lives inside the Menagerie of Mer. Still fleshing that out as well. We'll figure it out. It's going to be like, that area I think is going to be really like carnival, chaotic carnival energy in the Menagerie of Mer. Yeah, I think chaotic carnival energy. And as far as the illusion thing, this kind of, okay. So a little bit ago, I said, like, it makes it sound happy, and that sounds like I wanted to, like, a miserable thing. That's not the case, right? With the entirety of Otherworld, all the lore that I create, the world itself, all the realms, I don't want it to be like and they lived happily ever after type story, because I feel like that gets boring. There's no depth to it. There's like, and I also don't want it to be doom and gloom. Everything is bad. Oh my God, we're fighting against the darkest evil to ever exist. No, I kind of want it to be a little bit more, oh God, saying I want it to be more like real life is kind of scary. Like, I don't know. I want it to have the depth of having complicated stories and darkness, but also have fun and light and interesting thing. Like, I want it to be a good balance, not just a completely rainbow story and not a doom and gloom story, if that makes sense. So as I said, it's illusion, right? A lot of times we, as people, get stuck in the illusion of what something is without seeing what's actually happening. And that is the danger, or the thing that you're meant to explore while within Mossveil. Your own interpretation of something is obscuring the truth from you. Isn't that pretty cool? I think that's pretty cool. But yeah, as I create more lore for Mossveil, I will be sharing it, obviously. Now, I do have a Substack, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't really know how Substack works, right? I've heard many other people say, like, hey, follow my Substack for more, but I've never, like, did it. And then I was trying to figure out, how do I share lore, which is written content, right? How do I share that with people? Because the popular social medias, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, are all visually based. So how do I do that? And I was told to use Substack. So I thought I could just, like, post articles, but I see that there's also like things where you post statuses, so I'm not really sure. But once I figure that out, I have one lore piece up on there now, but once I figure that out, I'll let y'all know, and you can read some of the lore and understand what we're really doing over here. Now, what I'm doing now in the video also was not planned, right? So I filled in all of the corners and I've textured to look like trees. As I was doing this, in my mind, I got a brain blast, and it said put branches on the outside, and I said, oh my God, you're so right. Why didn't I think about this for the first iteration of this? Because again, the original idea, there were no branches on the outside. I was like, oh my God, this is great. So I'm leaving this in real time. I left quite a bit of this in real time. I showed you how I made the first like tree, the tree inside of the lantern. I'm showing you how I did this because I feel like, especially as a creative and people who watch creatives, it can be really misleading how long it actually takes to do something, especially if it looks pretty simple, like putting branches on the outside of a lantern. That's like an easy thing to do, and when I'm done with it, it's like, oh yeah, you put some clay on the outside and shape them like branches. That's easy. It shouldn't take that long. I left this in real time so you can see how long it took me to do one. I looked at my recording of me doing this, and I sped it up because, as you guys know, I love a time lapse, and I think this looks cool in a time lapse. But when I looked at the recording of me doing this in real time, it took me an hour just to do the branches on the outside, just to get them on there. That's not including painting them and having to clean up the paint and all the other stuff that I'm going to do to it. Yeah, I think we as a society just need to see these or hear this sometimes, that yeah, some things take a long time. It doesn't matter how easy it looks. It doesn't mean that a lot of time and energy didn't go into it. And yeah, that's all really for that part. Anyway, I'm really enjoying watching myself do this in like super fast speed because I don't know, I love a time lapse, especially like when you're like roping things around something. Like I'm using little snakes of clay. I think it looks cool. Here I am gluing down all the edges because even though the clay isn't fully set, it is sticking to the lantern, but I want to make sure it sticks forever. I did forget to record myself painting this. I put all the footage in here, and then I also was shocked that it wasn't there. This is what I did to paint it. On the tree barks on the inside, I do a layer of black first, let that dry, and then I do a layer of brown. I think I also put some gold paint in there. Why did I do that? It adds dimension and makes the cracks look deeper than what they are. A similar thing for the branches on the outside. I painted them. Paint got everywhere on the outside of the lantern. I then had to take a little sculpting tool and scrape off all of the paint. That took a long time too. I wish I knew a faster way to do it, but seeing as how I'm sculpting the branches onto the lantern, the only way to paint them is to then paint them on the lantern. Like trying to take them off wouldn't work. I think I would break it. So yeah, I just ended up having to clean up for like an hour or more, but it's fine. Here I'm using all real preserved moss. All this moss that I'm putting in here right now, all of it's real. All of it is preserved. It's soft. It's so soft. It smells really nice. I saw these really cool colors, the orange and the purple, so I got that. And then, yeah, I'm just like freestyling. And I know some people have problems with people using super glue on things, especially if those things end up being, not super glue, hot glue, especially if those things end up being kind of costly. I've tried to use like heavy duty E6000 glue with moss and preserved moss. It does not work because the moss is really a lot of air, really. It has a lot of volume because of the way that it's like the structure of the moss is, but there's not a lot of like surface area, if that makes sense. So when I put down E6000 glue and then I stick the moss in it, it doesn't stick. The hot glue really grabs on it to it really well, and honestly it is permanent. If you try to take the moss off of the glue, you're going to tear the moss out. You're going to rip it and break it. So it works really well in this application. I use a stronger glue, the B7000, on the edges of the branches to make sure that they don't like slip off of the lantern or come loose, and them things are on there for sure. As you can see, I got my mushrooms. I almost call them steps because they're kind of like steps, but I got those in there. Do you see how cool it, like, dude, this sounds like really conceited maybe, but like I'm so impressed and happy with how this came out. Those are some little mushrooms that I made, like the red ones with the white dots. I made those for a mirror and an hourglass that I made that are also themed after Mossveil, and I had some left over, so I threw those in there. These right here, these are really, really tiny preserved flowers. They're real dried flowers. They're small as heck, and they're kind of difficult to put on. That's why I use like 3 different types of tweezers to be able to grab them and place them properly. It's a process, but it adds so much to it. And I add a few more things in there. Like I use some like fake flowers, some bigger fake flowers to give it more dimension. And I also use some bunny tails that have been dyed pink. I had turned the camera off when I was putting on these little flowers because I was getting a little overwhelmed with the difficulty that I was having grabbing them and placing them. And I forgot to put it on for, or turn the camera back on for the other big pieces that I added. But you're going to see them in a bit. It's going to be like a light pink bunny tail, the like white, purple, and pink flowers or whatever. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Yeah, you see me using like the big tweezers. These little flowers, they're a great addition, but they're like, I don't know, they're so hard for me to grab, but that's all right. I'll do it every time because it really makes it look magical. And this is our finished project, or a product. It's not a finished product. You can see, oh my God, it looks so good. So right there in the middle, that like those leaves hanging down, that's fake. The pink bunny tails you can see on each side. And you can see there on the branch on the left side, like these white and purple things sticking out. You can see it better here. The white and purple things are fake. The bunny tails are real. They're just dyed pink. Like, the purple and orange moss, honestly, was a great idea on my part. Some of the branches on the outside look a little bit smushed. That's because I was working on it before it was set. Here's how it looks at night. And I'll see you guys next week for another video. Bye!